President, please be seated. The court is now back in session, and we now would like to hand over to the co-prosecutor to continue putting questions. Co-prosecutor. Thank you, Mr. President, and Your Honors. Mr. Witness, I will have a few more questions, please. And I will also be citing your statement before the co-investigating judges. Again, in particular, your statement in the first interview E3/364 and the Khmer ERN 00242422, English ERN 00250759 through 60, French ERN 00282197 through 98. You mentioned about the radio communication with people at Tulpojre, that the people who had affiliation with the Lonol regime had to be transported to the Tulpojre for execution. They were shot to death. And I knew about this because Khmer soldiers, through communication, told one another about this, and that one of the destined people to be executed could escape. One was escaping. My question to you, how did you know about the executions of the soldiers at Tulpojre? Response. I knew these soldiers were executed at Tulpojre through radio communication, and I also heard through the same radio communication that one person could manage to escape. Question, what else did you hear from that radio communication? Response, no, I didn't hear anything else. Question, you said Lonol soldiers were executed at Tulpojre. Did you hear gunshots at that time? Response, the Tulpojre location was more than 10 kilometers from the place where I worked. It was too far to hear the gunshots. Question, through radio communication, did you hear gunshots in the background? Response, yes, I could hear the gunshots in the background in that radio communication. Thank you. Question, what else can you tell the chamber about the soldier, Lonol soldier, who could escape? Response, I did not hear anything else. Thank you. In the same document D232/65 on question and answer number 5, you said that the trucks returning from Tulpojre were empty trucks. Can you tell the chamber where were you when you saw these empty trucks? Response, I was still at the location where I supposed to be on the road when the trucks passed. Question: how many times did you see trucks, empty trucks, coming back from Tulpochre? Response: I saw these trucks on 3 or 4 occasions before we were allowed to move back to our barrack. Question: was any of your colleague driving one of the trucks to Tulpochre? Response: no. None of us was engaged in driving the trucks. The trucks was driven by the drivers from the zone. Question: do you know where or which unit these trucks belong to? Response: these trucks were private trucks that were collected to transport the soldiers. Question: in the 232/65 question and answer number 7, you said this. These people, the transportation of those military and policemen started from the end of the meeting in the provincial hall at around 9 a.m. to around 4 to 5 p.m. My question to you is, did you know whether these soldiers were transported in just one day, or did it happen on another day as well? Response: this happened on the same day only, just on one day. Thank you. Question: under the same document, question and answer number 7, you also said a few days after the execution, Sony or bulldozers were sent to bury all the corpses. When exactly were these bulldozers sent to that location at Tulpochre? Response: at that time, I only saw them when they returned from Tulpochre. I mean, when the bulldozers returned from Tulpochre. Question: do you know who was behind the instruction to send these bulldozers to Tulpochre? Response: it was the zone committee. Thank you. To the best of your recollection, please give us the closest estimation of the number of trucks that transported police and soldiers from the provincial hall to Tulpochre. How many trucks were there? Response: there were about 10 to 15 trucks. Question: can you give the rough estimate of the soldiers the Lon soldiers who were transported there? Response. I can say perhaps it was close to 2,000 people. Question. I would like to ask you a question regarding the execution at Tulpochre. You state this before the investigators. You said you continue working in the military until 1976. What did your military unit do in 1975 after the event that happened at Tulpochre? Response. We were made to transplant rice. Question. After this massacre that happened at Tulpochre, did the CPK try to locate or to find civilians or officials who were former officials and soldiers of the Lon regime? Response. Can you repeat that question, Mr. Co-Prosecutor? Question. Of course, yes. After the execution that happened at Tulpochre, did the CPK attempt to find out more former Lon and officials during that time? Response. At that time, more search was underway to find out who were former Lon soldiers and officials, and then if they could find them, they could bring them there. Question. You said they could be brought there. To which location do you believe that they could have transported these people? Response. I don't know where they would be taken to, but wherever these people were brought to, they just disappeared. Question. According to your best knowledge, did the CPK or the Khmer Rouge manage to identify or find more former Lon soldiers and officials? Response. To the best of my knowledge, they were trying to find out who were the former soldiers, students, and teachers. Question. Based on your experience and what you saw, were you convinced that these people could find a lot of number of the former soldiers, students, and teachers of the regime? Response. I cannot say exactly how many people were found, but lived in different cooperative. Nonetheless, these people had to be hunted down. Question: how could you know these people were taken away? Response: I heard that these people were asked to attend study sessions, and that's all I know. Question: in your unit, were you and other soldiers asked to write your own biography? Response: everyone in the military was asked and obliged to produce their biographies, and anyone who was found out to have relatives in the military, in the colonial regime, would then be removed. Question: can you please be more precise? You said that people whose relatives were in the army would be removed. Why? Why had they be removed? Response: when I say remove here, I mean these people had to be sent back home or to cooperatives. Question: what about people who were the evacuees in your location? Were they obliged to also produce their biographies? Response: yes, they were. They were all obliged to write these biographies. Question: do you know where or what these biographies would be used for? Response: the biographies, so far as I know, would be used for some purposes. For example, if the husband was a soldier, then the wife would then be purged. Question: to be more precise, you said purge. What do you mean by purging? Response: people who had affiliation with the colonial soldiers had to be rid of. Question: I think my question to you was that you just testified that people were purged. So, what do you mean by purge? Response: purge here means execution. They were executed. Thank you for responding to my questions, Mr. Witness. I will have a few more questions regarding the evacuation on the second phase, evacuation. Do you know more evacuees were sent to the northwest zone by late of 1975 and early 1976? Response: I knew only what happened in 1978, 1979, the last move of this period. Question: Were you aware that people were transported by train or other means of transportation to Posat province? Response: yes, I was aware that people were transported through or by train. Question: when did that happen? When did people travel on the train? Response: the final batch was in 1979 when people from Svay Rieng were transported through train. Question: you said that was the last leg. Can you tell the chamber whether you knew anything about the transportation of people through train by early 1976 or late 1975 as well? Response: in 1976, people in Phnom Penh were transported by train. Question: do you still remember how many people could have been transported through trains? Response: I don't remember this because the evacuees would then be transferred to different cooperatives. Question: can you tell the chamber if you knew how the people who were transported through trains or by train were like, or what they were like, the situation, their condition, in other words? Response: they were treated like the other evacuees when they were evacuated from Phnom Penh. Question: did you receive any instruction from the district committee or zone secretary or the leaders of the CPK regarding how these evacuees would be treated? Response: we haven't had any communication, or we did not receive any orders regarding this because other teams were tasked with carrying out these orders. Question: did anyone ever tell you why these people had to be sent to the Northwest zone? Response: no one told me about this, but I knew that Angkar sent them there. Question: thank you. I think I move to another topic regarding the study sessions, the political education sessions. During the time when you was the head of the military unit in the Northwest zone or the leader of the mobile unit, did you ever attend meetings including political education sessions or any trainings? Response: no, I never attended any trainings at the zone level, but I did attend some trainings at district level. Question: Where did these meetings you attended take place? Response. The meetings took place at Con Dieng district at a school by the name of Svai Lahong. Question. Do you still recall how many days each meeting would last? Response. A meeting would last for 3 days. Question. Who chaired the meetings? Response. The meeting would be chaired by the secretary and the deputy secretary of the zone and also the district committee. Question. In general, in such meetings, what would be the subject matter of discussion? Response. They were talking about digging canal, building dikes and dams. Question. Thank you. I may now cite the testimony you gave before the co-investigators regarding the meetings you attended. The meetings convened in early 1976. You said that Mr. Nuon Chia was present. Can you tell the chamber whether this was the zone meeting or a political education session? Response. The meetings were political education sessions. Question. Can you also tell the chamber, please, did you often attend the meetings chaired by or attended by Nuon Chia? Or on how many occasions did you attend such meetings when Nuon Chia was present? Response. I was present only in one meeting. Question. Do you still recall where the meeting took place? Response. The meeting took place nowhere else other than in Posat province. Question. How long was that meeting? Response. It was a 2-day meeting. Question. Do you still remember the attendees in the meeting, or how many people you remember attended this meeting? Response. There were people from the zone and sector, the people from the zone committee and sector committee, a few of them. Question. I would like to quote your testimony before the co-investigating judges. I would like to refer to document E3/364 and Khmer ERN 0024 2423, English ERN 0025 0760, French ERN 0028 2198. You said this. As early as 1976, there was a meeting to purge people. The meeting attended by zone committee, sector committee, district committee, and also chiefs of cooperatives and head of units. Was this meeting convened before you were promoted as the head of the mobile unit? Response. It was when I was promoted as the head of the mobile unit already. Question. Did Mr. Nuon Chea lecture during the meeting, or did he give any presentation at all? Response. He was the one who chaired the meeting. He talked about something. Question. Can you please be more precise? What did he say? Response. He talked about building dams, digging canals. Question. Do you still remember how long Mr. Nuon Chea had to speak during that meeting? Response. He was very brief. He talked about half an hour, but I don't remember the wordings or his speech. Question. Indeed, these things happened a very long time ago. Nonetheless, I would like to refer you to the statement you gave before the co-investigators under document D232/65 under question and answer number 8. You were asked this question. What did Nuon Chea say? And you answer that from what I remember, he talked about the goal of creating socialism by not allowing having markets. If the markets existed, internal enemy would exist. Only the evacuation of people from markets to the base could have to find or help find the internal enemy. My question to you is, how could people identified as internal enemies? Response. What I learned from the meeting is that there would be internal enemies. Question. Do you still remember What else Mr. Nuon Chea discussed apart from evacuation of the population and the internal enemies? Did he tell you the reasons behind this? Response: I don't remember having heard him say any other things. Question: in your first interview before the co-investigating judges, document E3/364, ERN in Khmer 00242423, English ERN 00250760, French ERN 00282198. You said, and with reference to the meeting, that I saw Nuon Chea chair the meeting about purging the internal enemies, including the militaries and commandos who were affiliated with the Lonol regime, and these purges had to be carried out 2 to 3 times in 1976. The plan to purge internal enemies was to place spies in the units, districts, sectors, teams, and units, with approximately 10 to 15 spies inside each district. End of quote. What else can you remember about the speech Mr. Nuon Chea made regarding the soldiers and commandos? Response: I'm afraid I don't understand your question clearly. Can you repeat it? Yes, sure, and I would like to read your statement again. You said you said this, I quote, I saw Mr. Nuon Chea convene those meetings to prepare plans to purge internal enemies like the soldiers and commandos with connections to the Sangkum Ria Niyum and Lonol era. Purge meetings were held 2 to 3 times during 1976. The plan to purge internal enemies was to place spies in the units, districts, sectors, teams, and units, with approximately 10 to 15 spies in each district. My question to you is, what do you remember about this meeting? What did Mr. Nuon Chea say? Response: he said that all internal enemies had to be purged. Thank you. Question: you also state regarding the purge meetings that were conducted on 2 or 3 occasions in 1976. Did you attend such meetings? Or did you attend any of the meetings? Response: I attended only one meeting. Question: you said you attended the meeting only on one occasion. How did you know About the other meetings that took place, were you told about them? Response. No, I don't know about them. No one told me about them.
Well, I would like to clarify the question. You told the investigator of the OCIJ that in 1976 there was a meeting concerning the purge, and this meeting was held 2 to 3 times. And you told the court earlier that you yourself attended only once in this meeting. How about the other 2 meetings? How did you know about these 2 meetings? Who told you about the other meetings that you did not attend? Respond. I learned it from the sector. Did the sector level told you that Nuon Chea was present during those 2 meetings? Response. Yes, they did. Thank you. In your first interview, document E3/364, and in Khmer 00242425, English 00250762, French 00282201. When they ask you why you knew that Nuon Chea issued the order to purge, and your response was that I knew it because Nuon Chea came to attend meetings with the zone, sectors and district committees. And those district, zone and sector committee told me that Nuon Chea were the one who had staged these plans. So you told the court already about the meeting, the one meeting you attended, and you also said that in that particular meeting, Nuon Chea also discussed the purge, the internal purge. I would like to ask you to enlighten the court. After you heard from the district committee, where did they tell you exactly concerning the meeting chaired by Nuon Chea, who issued the order to conduct the internal purge? Response. They actually came to my unit and they told us directly. Question. So the district committee came to tell you, who else were there when they came to tell you such a thing? Response. Those who were with me at that time were aware of this matter because they listened to what they told us. How about the man who came to tell you this thing? Do you recall his number, his name, rather? Response. Key and San were the representative from the district committee. Do you recall what they told you exactly on the instruction they received from Nuon Chea? Response. I do not recall it very well, but as far as I can recall, they told us that we had to build dike and dig canals, but aside from this work, we had to also look for the infiltrating enemy. They told us to keep our eyes on the internal enemy. Question: Can you clarify a bit further on this issue? What exactly did they tell you to do at the time? Response. They told us that the enemies could be seen by a simple gesture. For example, if they broke a pair of chopsticks, then they would be someone who may be against us. Question. Well, I now turn to the report communication, report line and report and communication line within your area. In your statement to the Office of Co-Investigating Judges, document E3/364, ERN in Khmer 00242422, English 00250760, French 00282198. You said that in 1976, Sector Committee Sot and Bakan District Committee Key transferred me from the military unit to a mobile unit. And when you were transferred, you bore the position of a mobile unit chief, and you control people in Shia sub-district, Kandiang district. And at that time, you had the people dig canals and put up at the dikes at the orders of the district committee set. Could you tell the court, Bakan and Kandiang district, under what sector were these two districts in? Well, these two districts were in Sector 7, Posat Province. So to your recollection, in the Northwest Zone, how many sectors were there? Response. In Posat Province, there were Sector 7, Sector 2, and Sector 4 in the west of Posat, close to Bat Dambong. It's Thank you. Concerning the communication regime, when you were appointed the mobile unit chief in Shah sub-district, when you were supposed to report to your upper authority, how did you do it and who did you report to? Response. I reported to Kandiang district. Thank you. Can you clarify further the secretary of Kandiang district? Was he Set or Key? Key was the Kandiang district committee. And Set was actually in charge of youth in the district. In your interview with the Office of Co-Investigating Judges, document E3/364, ERN in Khmer 00242423, English 00250760, French 00282198. You said you received order and sometimes Set came and gave orders directly to have people in the mobile units put up paddy dikes or canals. Sometimes I was called to attend meetings in Kandiang district, which was located in currently the Svai Lahong school, and the sector committee led the meeting or chaired the meeting, and the district committee also attended, and each meeting spoke only about work plans. So you said that sector committee led the meetings. Who did you refer to as the sector committee? Response. Tasot was the district committee or sector committee. Thank you. In the meeting with which you attended with the sector committee, did the sector committee make mention where the order originally came from? Response. They said that they received this order from the party. Question. Can you expand on this a little bit further when you said the order was received from the party? Who was the party and how was it handed down to the district committee? Response. I actually heard that it was from the party, and I also heard the word Angka, but I did not know who it was, and I did not know where the party was either. Question. You were the chief of a mobile unit in Cha sub-district. When you were in charge of this mobile unit, did you observe that there were new people or the so-called 17 April people? Response. Yes, there were all people, the 18 or 17 April people. Question. Can you clarify further? You say the 18 and 17 April people. Who are you referring to as 17 April people, and who were the 18 April people? Response. The 18 April people, or rather, they were the 18 March 1970 people, and the 17 April people were the 17 April following the liberation of the country in 1975. Question. Can you tell the court how many people were considered the 17 April people in your location, and how many families were there? Response. People from the Pusat provincial town were considered the 17 April people. So long as they were from the Pusat province, they would call 17 April people. Question. You were responsible for the mobile unit over there. I would like to know, in your location where you governed, how many 17 April people were there? Response. The entire commune, Sha commune, Kandiang district. Thank you. How about the new people, the 17 April people? Did you ever receive any order from the district committee or sector committee or leaders of the Communist Party of Cambodia to handle them? Response. No, I received nothing from them. I only received the instruction that these people were supposed to build canals and dikes. Question. So, did you know at the time why people had to be segregated or divided into 17 people April or the 18 March 70 people? Response. It's difficult for me to answer this question because at that time there was a clear designation for them. The 18 March 1970 people were considered old people, and the 17 April people were considered new people. So there was a clear division of these two groups of people at the time. Question. Well, my question really is that why were certain group of people were considered the new people or 17 April people? Was there any different treatment for them? That's why they were called 17 April people. Do you know something to this effect? Response. No, I do not know. I do not know. Prosecutor. Mr. President, I do not have any further question. I thank you, witness, for endeavoring to answer all the questions I ask, and I would like to cede the floor to my esteemed colleague to continue our line of questionings. The President. Yes, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Mr. Limsat. My name is Dale Lysak, and I have not too many questions for you, some follow-up questions. I will ask you a few questions this morning, and then maybe 5 or 10 questions in the afternoon, 5 to 10 minutes of questions in the afternoon before I turn it over to the civil parties. let me go back. You indicated in your the very first answer of your first OCIJ interview, which is document E3/364. In your very first answer, where you were discussing your position from 1971 to 75, you stated that you were the commander of Company 82 in Battalion 202. The first question is, I wanted to confirm, did you have that same position, company commander, as of April 1975?
Yes, I held that same position until the date.
And in April 1975, can you tell us how many soldiers were in your company and how many soldiers were in Battalion 202?
In battalion, there were 360 soldiers. And 30 were in platoon. And 100 soldiers were in the company.
And were you commander of the company or commander of the platoon?
I was a commander of a platoon comprising of 30 members.
I want to turn now to clarify something about the first meeting that my colleague asked you about this morning. Specifically, this was a meeting held shortly after the liberation, at which Tanim and Tassat provided some instructions. And I want to read to you question number 4 from your second OCIJ interview, which is document D232/65. And in that interview, in answer number 4, you made the following statement, quote, "There was invitation at that time of chairmen of companies, battalions, and regiments to join the meeting at Prasat Provincial Hall, presided over by Tanim, the Zone Committee, and Tassat, the Sector Committee. The meeting was held 3 days before another meeting with Lon Nol military and policemen. It was after the liberation of 17 April 1975 and just about 4 to 5 days after the liberation of Phnom Penh and Prasat. In the meeting, Khmer Rouge chairmen were told that all dignitaries, both military and policemen, from the Lon Nol regime had to be killed. If we kept them alive, there would be resistance in the later time, so they all had to be executed." What I wanted to clarify, were you personally present at this meeting, or did you hear about the meeting later after it took place.
The regiment commander told me.
And when was it that the regiment commander told you that about the meeting where Tanim and Tassat had provided these orders regarding the execution of Lon Nol military?
It was in 1975, but around 3 to 4 days after the 17th April 1975. After the liberation of Phnom Penh on the 17th of April 1975, a few days, 3 to 4 days after that, they convened a meeting.
Just to be clear, Mr. Limsat, what I'm interested in is not the date or when the meeting took place that was chaired by Tanim and Tassat, but when it was that your regiment commander passed on to you or your unit the instructions they had received at that meeting.
Immediately after they left the meeting, they disseminated that information.
And do you remember where it was that the regiment commander disseminated these orders?
I only recall some of the events at that time. It could have been around 3 days following the meeting.
Yes, my question is where was it? The location where you were at, where the regiment commander communicated these instructions to you and your unit. Where were you at the time?
Response. I was still at Kon Dieng district of Posat province.
Mr. President, I'm about to turn to another line of questioning if this is a good time for the break.
The President, thank you, Mr. Co-Prosecutor, and thank you, everyone. It is now appropriate moment already for lunch. Adjournment. The chamber will adjourn for lunch, and the next session will be resumed by 1:30 p.m. Court officer is now directed to assist the witness and his jury counsel during the adjournment and have him return to the courtroom by 1:30 p.m. Security personnel are now directed to bring Mr. Kyusampon downstairs and have him return to the courtroom before 1:30 p.m. The court is adjourned.